Hello students, welcome to Laex Excellence. Welcome to our 7th weekly magazine where we'll be covering from 18th June to 24th June 2017. This week we have a lot of issues which are actually important from December 2017 point of view, and there are some issues which you have to focus from prelims point of view as well. So let's quickly get into these and understand what exactly are these issues and which facts we have to remember and what are the concepts behind this. The first issue of the week is actually with respect to the hill protests that are happening in Darjeeling. And when we actually look at Darjeeling, this is not an issue which comes every day. It comes once in 2 to 3 years or sometimes after 5-6 years. But regularly there will be some small incidences. It is very rare to see such massive protests happening in these regions. UPSC will not ask you any such questions which questions the integrity of the people or which questions about whether the state is acting properly in handling a particular scenario or not. Only if the country has decided to divide a particular state into different groups, then only UPSC will ask you a question. So you need not worry about the issue in detail, but what is more important for us is to look at some of the geographical factors that may be asked in prelims next year. The first, the name Darjeeling comes from the Tibetan word Dorje, which means thunderbolt, and Ling means place or land, meaning the land of thunderbolt. The hill areas of Darjeeling districts are located within the lesser and sub-Himalayan belts of the eastern Himalayas. It is important for us to understand that in almost all these states which have mountainous presence, whether it is Uttarakhand, Nepal, Sikkim, Bhutan, and if we take the Darjeeling district also, we actually divide the places into two. One, you have the mountainous region, and below that you have a plain region. Usually this plain is called terai in different regions, but we may have a mountainous region and we may also have a terai region. Wherever you have mountainous region and terai region, usually the ethnicity of these also varies. For example, if you actually go to Nepal, you have Pahadis in the mountain region, and in terai region, you usually have people from different parts of India who have migrated over a period of time. There is cross-cultural linkages between these borders. And if we actually see, you have Madhesis in the Terai region. Similarly, when we take Bhutan, usually the traditional Bhutanese people are present and some Nepalis are also present in the Terai region. And when we take or when we see at Darjeeling, one of the most important thing that we observe is usually in the hilly region, the ethnicity which is there is different from the ethnicity which is there in the Terai region. And it is said, usually in the hilly region, you have the Nepalis present and they are usually Gorkhas. So they are fighting for Gorkha land, right? So these sort of ethnic clashes are mainly associated with a different ethnicity present with a geographical boundary where they demand a separate state so that they can enjoy power equally with other regions. So let us see some of the important things. The area is bound by Sikkim Himalayas in the north, Bhutan Himalayas in the east, and Nepal Himalayas in the west. The southern foothill belt is demarcated by a highly dissipated platform of terrace deposits extending. This is not much required, but what is more important for you is the inner belt is defined by ridge line stretching from the Darjeeling hill to the west, Kalimpong Hill to the east, Teesta Valley in between. This is very, very important. You know that there was question already about Teesta River, but still a combination of this can be asked in UPSC. When we actually look at the national park which is actually present here, you have Singalia National Park, which was set up in 1986 in Darjeeling. And as I told you, Nepali is the predominant language in the hill part of Darjeeling, and Hindi is the predominant in the southern plain or Terai region. The greater bulk of people in the hills are Gurkhas. They speak Nepali and other dialects. As I told you, these factual informations are very, very important, and it is important for you to know the geographical expanse of this community as well. The next important issue, which is important from this year mains point of view, is actually with respect to the unifier, the death of Helmut Kohl, who was a most important leader in Germany, who actually united the West and East Germany. We call reunification of Germany actually happened here. Because of his death, there can be a question about reunification of Germany, or there can be a question about division of Germany as well. So let us just look at the world history, what all happened and what led to these factors. It is believed that after 1945, the world powers who actually won, UK, France, US and Soviet Union. Soviet Union tried to capture the eastern part of Germany, and you had UK, France and US, the Western allies, capturing the western part. The western part was united and it was called as West Germany, where democracy and other things usually sustained. Whereas on the eastern side you had East Germany, and Communist or Soviet Union controlled it. And there were a lot of people from East Germany who were escaping into West Germany. So the first thing what Soviet Union did was to block this entire thing, and they actually constructed a wall near the Berlin. And with the end of Cold War, that is weakening of Soviet Union, it is said that the East Germans and West Germans came together and they broke this wall, the Berlin Wall, which is said to be the most important day in fall of Soviet Union and also reunification of Germany. Because Germany was already unified, it was broken and again it got unified. So this particular part in world history is very, very important for you. So just be aware of this. The next major issue, which can be asked either this year or next year or any time, high possibility a question can come on this. That is actually with respect to Indo-Afghan air cargo plane to fly over Pak, or the other words which you can see in the headlines of newspapers are India and Afghanistan have direct air cargo connectivity bypassing Pakistan. What exactly does this mean? India definitely has border with Afghanistan. But the problem is the border where Afghanistan touches India is actually under the control of POK. But still we claim we have direct border. So the other country which has complete border is Pakistan. And you also have Iran, which has border with Afghanistan, right? India, if it wants to go to Afghanistan, then it has to go to Pakistan or it has to go through Iran. But unfortunately, Pakistan has said that they will allow all the goods from Afghanistan to go to Pakistan and then to India, but they will not allow Indian goods to come to Afghanistan or Pakistan and then to Afghanistan. That is, there is one-way trade from Afghanistan to India, but not from India to Afghanistan. Because of this, many truck drivers and other trading was not a proper one, because people who carry goods from Afghan border till Wagah border, they don't want to go empty. Because of this, indirectly, there was impact on the trade in this particular region. India was deliberately willing to have good trade relations in this part, mainly because We know that Pakistan had used the Taliban forces against India, and India didn't had any influence in this region. India significantly wants to improve its influence and also build relations so that Afghanistan cannot be used by Pakistan against India. So India first asked access to Chabbar port in Iran, and from there we reached Afghanistan border, and then we are having trade within Afghanistan. The second important thing India planned was to have direct air cargo connectivity from Delhi to Afghanistan, where what exactly we are saying, we will fly over Pakistan, but it will be above airspace of Pakistan. Usually, no country will allow any other country's goods or flights to move over it without its permission. But beyond 12 to 14 kilometers from the ground surface, airspace of the countries end. So above that, we can usually move, especially the cargoes can move. And India has actually used a large cargo where you can get goods as well. Many people say this is not viable because you cannot export and import raw materials or goods worth billions of rupees through this. Usually in air cargo we go for medicines, or we also go for some sort of gold, diamond or other jewelries which are precious. But India is planning to go for medicinal plants, vegetables and all. And India has said that we are not only going to purchase from Afghanistan, but we will make India as a hub for Afghanistan to reach to different parts of the world from India. So because of all these factors, this issue is important. So India is having direct connectivity with Afghanistan now. Right guys? So this should be enough. Indian government has planned to unite the country culturally. Some may say mainly because there is lot of anti-nationalism or anti-national activities occurring. But to be frank, it is very important for us to know each other's culture. Many of us don't know one other's culture. That is, Northeast don't know about South, North don't know about South, South don't know about North and Northeast. This is there across India. To ensure that there is cultural mapping of the entire country and to help people understand each other's culture better, the government is planning for National Mission on Cultural Mapping, where all the diverse cultures will be brought and it will be introduced to the people through this Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat. Right? So this scheme is very, very important. High possibility they may ask you about this in mains. Right guys? So please go through this once carefully. All the factual informations I have given you, but you should know that it is important for nation building, right? Nation building process. This is very, very important step. The next important issue, and if you have watched my previous videos also, I have always said this year is more about trade, transport, transit corridors, and everyone is interested to know how to connect with others in the world. No one wants to leave any opportunity. So, India has also ratified, or India has agreed to ratify United Nations TIR, that is Transports International Rotas. It is a European Union convention associated with United Nations, and the main ambition was to ensure that there is free flow of vehicles carrying goods across these countries. There will be security, safety, everything will be provided only for those countries which have signed. India is the 71st country to sign this. It is believed that if India becomes part of this particular thing, then the customs trouble between the countries will be definitely reduced. And most importantly, India can connect to Bangladesh, Myanmar and other Southeast Asian nations, and we can go to Iran, Afghanistan, and we can reach the Central Asian countries or Russia, which has energy. right? So this is what we are looking at United Nation TIR convention. Many people said India joined this to counter One Belt One Road of China, because One Belt One Road of China is also aiming to connect the world, where there will be free flow of goods from one part of the world to other part without much customs issues. India, as it has not been part of this, it is very important for India to be part of other alternative trade routes, so that India is not left out in this particular issue, right? So it's important for us to write about United Nations TIR convention for this year mains. The next important issue, when we are saying it is important for us to look from internal security point of view, that is new playground for non-state actors, where we are focusing on internet enabled terrorism throughout the world. In this particular case, especially when we are talking about internet enabled terrorism, we are saying how internet is being used by terrorists to spread terrorism across the world. Earlier, people used to use internet to actually recruit people, train them and all. But today, you can be present anywhere, you can learn the techniques, and there can be attacks in that country without actually the person moving in or out. Because of this, it has become a very complicated process. Terror attack can happen anywhere today, wherever there are large crowds. These become soft targets, because usually if there are festivals and all, it's very difficult for the police to control, or the law and order to take its own route. And these are not the suspected individuals as well. And they are going for lone wolf attacks, the new term associated with ISIS, where individuals, they actually take up trucks. Forget about bombs. They are taking up trucks, they are running into a large crowd, killing them, and they are saying that it is a terror attack. So any sort of accidents can also be termed to be a terror attack. But when these kind of things increases, it is very, very difficult for people to come together and define what exactly terrorism is. And there are problems from both sides. State may call anything to be a terrorist act if this trend continues, and there can be state repression on common people. On the other hand, no one is safe in the hands of terrorists. So these are some of the major issues the world community is actually talking, mainly after internet has been used excessively by the terrorists. Today, you can use Google Maps. Today, you can see technology is connected so well that others cannot see what messages you have texted or what is the conversation between the people. So these kind of safety features will not help the governments in tackling this. So United States and other countries have always requested Facebook or any app which is being used excessively by the terror groups, so that that information is available. But one of the major problem even with this is they will reveal only those information or those numbers which the US wants. But you won't be knowing who is the actual target. And this facility is not available for all the countries where terrorism is actually occurring. So with all these, it is becoming a new playground for the non-state actors or terrorists to fight against the state, right? So it's very important for us to consider these facts when we are talking about cybersecurity issues. This is a small fact with respect to India's commitment to reducing carbon dioxide, or India's commitment to reduce greenhouse gas emissions or global warming, where we are launching Energy Conservation Building Code of 2017, where in new commercial buildings, if they have to get this Energy Conservation Building certificate or code, then they have to save at least 25% through all proper means. There are a lot of losses that usually happen in these buildings. They may go for solar, or they may go for some sort of automatic things which may help in conservation of electricity. They may also replace the old type of energy consuming lights with a regular one which reduce energy consumption. So with certain facts like this or with certain steps like this, the government is planning to ensure that energy waste or energy conservation can be ensured in the buildings. And if this happens, what we are usually emitting will be reduced, and this will also help in India's commitment towards Paris Climate Summit as well, right? So it's very, very important for us to look. Just write about this. They won't ask you what is energy conservation building code. In prelims, they may ask you some facts, but still the facts are not yet clear. But when it comes to mains, you have to write about this whenever you're talking about steps taken by government to reduce emissions. And then there are two other important factual informations with two important topics we will be dealing one after the other. One major thing we all have to look at is India top remittance receiving country in 2016. And you all should be aware here of a simple fact that India and China both compete when it comes to remittances. Indian origin people or NRIs are present across the world and they send back money whatever they earn. The same way Chinese people are also there. China had overtaken India, but this last year when we see the statistics, Indian remittances has again increased. Meaning of this is Indians are earning more in the world. And the other important thing that you all have to remember here is there is something called as capital account deficit and current account deficit, and remittances are part of current account deficit. That is export and imports. When there is no balance, India's exports is less when compared to imports. So we need to pay more money outside. So this more money is actually paid with the help of remittances which India receives from our people. So it is very, very important for us to study diaspora, and whenever you're talking about issues like Qatar crisis or if you're talking about any issue in the Middle East, it is important for us to talk about diaspora and also remittances, because it is said that almost around 6 million Indians are actually present in this Arabian Peninsula itself or Gulf states itself. So it's very, very important for us to ensure that our people are safe in these provinces. With GST being launched, many people are saying that some products may become costly, especially services. When you look at the banking services, education services and all, they have become costly, even though only non-commercial education is not taxed and commercial education is taxed. And the second important thing, there are some products which are becoming cheaper. As these products are becoming cheaper, these companies may feel our product used to be sold even at a higher cost. Why should we sell it at a lower cost? Say for example, because of GST, a product cost earlier which was 70 rupees came down to 60 rupees, right? And when it was 70 rupees, the company's profit was 10 rupees. And they used to pay 10 rupees more tax. And now their profit is 10 rupees, but the tax that they are paying is less. Now what the company can do, the company can say, I will add 10 rupees more as my profit and I'll make the product to be 70 so that I will earn 20 rupees profit. By taking advantage of the reduced prices on this, right, most of the companies may go for more profits. So to fight on this, the GST Council has approved anti-profiteering authority, where the structure will be any complaints will first go to the standing committee comprising tax officials from both states and centers, and then it would forward the complaint to Directorate of Safeguards for investigation. On the basis of investigation, action will be taken against them. So government is saying that the profits of introducing GST should go to the consumers and not to the shopkeepers, right? This is what they are actually talking about. And at last, India had plans to develop a law specifically for Antarctica. India has interest in Antarctica, especially when it talks about its own observatory setups which are there in Antarctica and even Arctic. You can see Maitri, Dakshina Gangotri, and other observatory stations which are actually present in these areas. What is the most important work of these stations? They want to study astronomy, geology, and many other things with other people. Antarctic Treaty is there at the global level as well, where the global community has agreed that there won't be weapons use or war or anything associated with arms will be present in Antarctica. It should be used only for the peaceful purpose and it should be available for everyone. No one should claim that Antarctica belongs to any particular persons. But when it comes to Arctic Council, countries which are almost above 66 and a half all claim that they want to be part of Arctic Council and the rights over Arctic Council should be given to them. So India is an observatory there as well. India is planning to build this law, but if it is passed, let us see what is the implications of that. But as of now, we need to understand the International Antarctic Treaty, which focuses on prohibiting anything which is associated with military, except in support of science, prohibits nuclear explosions and the disposal of nuclear waste, because there was a debate in the world about where to displace the nuclear waste. Some people said it has to be disposed in least developing countries by giving them some money, or purchase few islands from these countries and dump it there. There were several things. And the world community said this should not lead to people going and dumping everything in Antarctica and making it vulnerable to climate change and other impacts. Right? So Antarctic Treaty is also important for us. They may ask you in prelims, mostly if it comes in mains, you should be capable of answering it. And at last, India's workhorse in launching the satellites and its success has continued. This time, India puts 31 satellites in space. And this is the 40th flight of PSLV and 17th flight of PSLV in XL configuration, where it uses solid strap-on motors. All these facts with respect to PSLV and GSLV is basics and you'll be reading in your science and technology. But here what is more important for us is India has become a destination for several countries to come and ask India to launch these satellites. And you can see there are many smaller satellites and few people also ask doubts. So why countries like European Union, US and all are coming? And if you see, it is not NASA or European Space Agency which comes. One, they want to see how exactly the launching and the capacity of it. The second important thing, these people come are from universities who also want to launch. And private individuals also want to launch from these satellites. The reason for everyone coming to India is launching at a cheaper cost when compared to other countries. As we launch 30 to 31 satellites at a time, you can imagine that the cost will be distributed among all these countries or all these companies, and India will be making more profit. And here you should remember, Antrix Corporation Limited is the commercial arrangement or commercial body of ISRO, right? So these factors are very, very important for us. So just ensure that you're going through these well, right guys? I hope you're preparing for mains well, and those who have not cleared and those who are preparing for 2018, just ensure that this is the time for you to focus on both prelims and mains till December at least. After December, you can exclusively focus on mains. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching. And if you have any queries, you can always message us. Thank you.